Speak a good word or remain silent. Speak a good word or remain silent. Speak a good word or remain silent.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala khatamin nabiyyin. Amma ba'd. Fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulallah. Wa ala ahlika wa sahabika ya Habiballah. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabiyallah. Wa ala alika wa sahabika ya Nur Allah. The holy saying of the last Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. Adorn your gatherings by reciting salat upon me, as this will be the light for you on the day of judgment. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ala Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. Dear viewers of 𝐒𝐿𝐲𝐻𝐿 channel, in our previous episodes, we have seen what is communication, what are the types of communication, what are the elements of communication. And now today we are going to see next point, next topic, because we are learning communication skills. We are learning how to be a better communicator. And in our previous episode, we have told this, that before learning the tips, before learning the principles of becoming a better communicator, we must know the background of communication skills. Now, we will start today's program with the topic barriers to communication, along with our PowerPoint presentation and its explanation. Barriers to communication. Dear viewers, it is very necessary to understand what are the barriers to communication. First of all, please try to understand what is the meaning of barrier. Barrier means obstacle, problem, obstruction, difficulty, unplanned interferences which come in communication. Here we have presented this. There are so many types of barriers. Sometimes when the sender sends the message, so the message sent is not equal to the message received. Why does it happen? It happens because of these barriers. Barriers of communication, they are very dangerous. They distract sender as well as receiver. There are many kinds of barriers. There are many types of situations in which communication barriers can occur. For example, the mood is upset, wrong pronunciation, inaccurate intonation or grammatical patterns, surrounding noise, climatic conditions, and many such things can become barrier in our communication. Now, next slide we will see there are many kinds of barriers to communication. Now see, we have enlisted so many types of barriers. For example, physical barriers, mechanical barriers, psychological barriers, organizational barriers, linguistic barriers, socio-cultural barriers, semantic barriers, non-verbal cue barriers, emotional barriers, perception barriers, and attitude barriers. Inshallahul Kareem, we will see one by one, we will understand the meaning of each barrier with example. Dear viewers, now our first barrier is physical barrier. What is physical barrier? In simple words, try to understand. Physical barrier means the surrounding noise, heat, dust, snow, cyclone, weather condition, all these things become barrier in communication. For example, Ahmad is talking to Mahmood, but Mahmood is sweating all over because of heat, because of summer season. So now the message which Mahmood is receiving, he cannot understand properly. He will say just yes, no, yes, no. He will not understand properly. Why? Because he is sweating all over and he is disturbed. In the same way, suppose Mahmood lives near railway station, arrival, departure of trains, noise of train. If that noise is coming in his house, he cannot talk to his family members. He cannot convey his message properly to his family members. So that is called as physical barrier. Now, the next barrier is mechanical barrier. As its name shows, mechanical barrier is related to machines, equipments, tools. Now, for example, Ahmad told Mahmood to deliver a speech. Now Mahmood is delivering speech, but mic is not working properly, or it is out of order, or it is whistling. So how can communication be successful? Or if Mahmood does not know how to handle that equipment, suppose computer or fax machine or photocopy machine or printer, even if they are out of order or they are not working for a while, still there will be a communication breakdown. So mechanical, that machine related knowledge, machine handling related knowledge is necessary. Then only sender can send his message properly and receiver can receive the message properly. So these were two barriers, physical, mechanical. Now the third barrier is psychological barrier. Dear viewers, psychology, this is a very important topic. What is psychology? Psychology is the study of mind. Psychology is the study of behavior. Why that person is behaving in that way? What is he thinking? So all such factors affect communication. Psychology plays a vital role in communication. How? For example, father of Z scolded him for not scoring good marks in examination. Now Zaid is continuously thinking, why my father scolded me, why he used such words. It was his fault that he did not perform well, but his father scolded him and that scolding was in his mind, so he was disturbed. And when he met his friend Ahmad, now Ahmad is talking to him, but Zaid is unable to concentrate on the message of Ahmad. Why? Because in his mind he is continuously thinking, why my father scolded, why my father scolded, why he used such words. So that psychology is disturbing communication. There are so many examples of psychological barriers which we have presented here. So suppose someone is having fear of something, so that fear also becomes a barrier in communication. We are human beings and we have pride and prejudice, sorrows and joys. So all such factors affect communication. Now the fourth barrier is organizational barriers. Organizational barriers means barriers caused due to structure of an organization or rules and regulations. Sometimes what happens, there are so many managers and message gets distorted. Sometimes what happens, all the physical appearances, for example, that AC cabin, personal assistant system, structure of the office, then all such obstacles, hierarchy of posts and position. So all such things become barrier in communication, that is called organizational barriers. Status, then post, it is also mentioned in this barrier. So four types we have seen. Now the fifth barrier is linguistic barrier. Linguistic barrier means barriers which are related with language. Sometimes what happens, people do not have correct pronunciation. People use wrong grammatical sentences. And this is also a case. What? Sender and receiver, both of them, they have different language. For example, Arabic speaking person cannot convey his message properly to Urdu knowing person. In the same way, Marathi knowing person cannot understand the message of Marwadi speaking person. So this language becomes barrier in communication. Sometimes what happens, we Indians, we pronounce English words with heavy accent. So that is very difficult for common people to understand. Same way, language barrier occurs there. That is called linguistic barriers. 5 we have seen. Now the 6th one, socio-cultural barriers. Language and social customs, they are related with each other. Social customs, now for example, food habits, clothing, manners of people, their traditions, all such things are called as socio-cultural barriers. I'll give you one example. You have seen owl, O-W-L, owl. Now this bird, owl, this bird is considered as the symbol of stupidity in Eastern countries. Bird owl is considered as the symbol of stupidity, nonsense in Eastern countries, but in Western countries it is the symbol of intelligence. Same bird, but culture is different. People speak different languages, they have different social customs, they have different ideologies. So because of that, meanings vary. So social customs also become, way of thinking also become a barrier. That is called socio-cultural barriers. Now 7th one is semantic barriers. Semantic barriers means barriers because of meaning. Semantic barriers means barriers which occur due to meaning, and people pronounce words differently and they consider something else what is sender saying. As it is given here, sometimes what happens, sender uses metaphors and difficult vocabulary that is not understood by the receiver. So semantic barriers occur. Suppose sometimes he use dialects or his regional flavors come in his language. So that also becomes a barrier, and which is called semantic barrier. For example, the word bank. Suppose I said I am going to the bank. Now here people can understand two things. Bank means financial institution and bank means river bank. So in such case we have to speak clearly. Otherwise 100% semantic barrier will become a hindrance in smooth communication. Now the next barrier is non-verbal cue barrier. Non-verbal communication we have seen in our last episode. Non-verbal communication means communication without words. Then what do we use? We use non-verbal aspects. For example, kinesics, haptics, vocalics, proxemics, all such things. So if you don't have knowledge of non-verbal cues, you will face understanding problem, or you cannot understand the message of that person properly because you don't have the knowledge of non-verbal cues. So it is necessary that we should know what are the non-verbal cues and what are the messages conveyed by such cues. Next, we have emotional barriers. Dear viewers of 𝐒𝐿𝐻𝐽 channel, emotional management is a very vast topic. We must know this. Inshallah Kareem, in some episode we will discuss on this, emotional management. Very important aspect of human life, emotions. What happens? Sometimes we feel very happy, sometimes we feel very sad. So this extreme happiness or extreme sadness becomes barrier in communication. Suppose father of Ahmad, he gave him a new bike. Ahmad is feeling so happy. Now he met Mahmood. Mahmood is talking to him, but he is not able to concentrate on that message because he is so happy because he got new bike. In the same way, suppose Mahmood is so sad, he met a tremendous loss. Now Ahmad is talking to him, but he will not concentrate on the messages given by Ahmad. Why? Because he was emotionally disturbed. In the same way, surprise, anger, so such things become barrier in communication. So we should have balanced emotion. Whether we are happy or sorrowful, we should have balanced emotional pattern, so we can understand the message of sender easily. Now, next barrier we have perception barrier. Perception means understanding. Actually, what happens, dear viewers? Sender sends message. Same message is understood differently by different people. That is called perception barrier. Message was same, but people understood it in different way. Why they understand same message in different way? Because of their own vocabulary, because of their own meanings which they extract from that message, and because of their own socio-cultural values. They take the message in different way. So when we are speaking, try to speak in such a way that only one possible interpretation people can get from there. So that will be successful communication. Perception barriers means people should not understand something different. What you want to say, that message should be conveyed. Next barrier we have attitude barriers. Dear viewers, you have seen in society there are some people who want to live alone. They don't get mixed up with people. And if they get mixed up with people, it is in extreme case. Either they are too social or they are not social at all. So someone thinks that I am the superior being of this society. How can I talk to this person? No, this is my luxury zone, this is my status zone. So all such attitudes become barrier, and they are called as attitude barriers. Dear friends, now we will see how to be a better communicator. Now, what are the tips? What are the principles of becoming a better communicator, an effective communicator? Actually, what these principles, these tips have relation with each other. They will definitely overlap. So we have to understand each principle with example. Now, for example, first principle of becoming a better communicator, clarity. If your message is not clear, if receiver cannot understand you properly, then what is the use of communication? So, your message should be straightforward. It should be in simple words. You should avoid double meaning words. You should avoid jargons and ambiguities. And you should speak straightforward sentences. For example, the person who is in charge of this premises not here. The person who is in charge of this premises not here. So people can understand anything. Better say the HOD is absent today. Finished. Clear message. So clarity is a must. Now the next principle of becoming a better communicator is conciseness. Means to be brief. Your message should be short. You should not use unnecessary words and sentences. Now, for example, this is the hall which is well decorated for my brother's marriage. Instead of this sentence, you can say, this is the hall for my brother's marriage. So, your message should be concise, brief. The next principle of becoming a better communicator is completeness. Your message should be complete. Sometimes people speak incomplete sentences. For example, Ahmad received a phone call. Finished. Now here question will come in the mind of receiver. Ahmad received call when? Who called him? What was the reason? So better Ahmad received a call from the principal of his son about college fee. Finished, message is complete and effective also. So, your message must be complete. Next tip is correctness. Your message must be correct. Your sentence must be correct. Now here, accuracy of grammar, accuracy of pronunciation, accuracy of fact, all such things should be considered. Now for example, if I say Nafisa have 4 daughters, so the listener will get disturbed because of incorrect grammar. What was the sentence? Nafisa have 4 daughters. This is a wrong sentence. Nafisa has 3 daughters or 4 daughters. This is correct sentence. Sometimes people pronounce words in a wrong way, so that also become a hindrance in good communication. So correctness must be followed. Now I cannot say I have seen the sun at night. If I will say, people will start laughing. So the message must be based on the correctness of fact, and the correctness of fact is sun rises during daytime, sun shines during daytime, not at night. Now the next principle of becoming a good communicator, a better communicator, is consideration. Now what is consideration? We should consider the situation of the receiver. We should consider his needs. What is he thinking? In which situation he is? And according to that, we should change our message. For example, the receiver is very busy, and if you are continuously talking to him, he will not receive your messages properly. So better you should say, I think you are so busy, so better we will talk some other time. Now, the next principle is concreteness. Now, what is concreteness? When people speak, they use abstract words, they use abstract ideas. There is vagueness in their communication. So, receiver cannot understand the message properly. It means when you are speaking, you should be clear and specific. See one example. I was going to my destination, but my mode of transportation got failed. I said this sentence. I was going to my destination, but my mode of transportation got failed. Instead of this, you should say, I was going to Mumbai, but my car got punctured. So here, concrete words are used, not abstract ideas. If I use abstract ideas, I will not be a good communicator. I cannot be a good communicator. I want my message to be understood by my receiver well. So I must use concrete, specific and clear words. Next principle of communication is courtesy. Now courtesy means kindness, politeness, giving respect to your receiver. You should not use rough and tough language. You should not use offensive sentences. You should not use hurtful words. You should respect your receiver. You should respect his feelings. You should shower your kindness during speaking. Then only you can prove yourself as a good communicator. Now for example, if I say, give me a glass of water, he will give, but he will not have that feeling while giving me water. But if I say, please give me a glass of water. So just I used the word please. Now I am following the principle of courtesy. Means I am requesting him by giving him respect. Now the next principle is feedback. Dear viewers, please remember, feedback is very necessary in communication. Feedback means what? Response given by the receiver. While communicating, you must take feedback from receiver. That feedback will guide you how to communicate further. For example, do you understand me? Are you getting me? Can I explain more? Can I give you one more example? So you should take feedback from your receiver. That feedback will give you a guideline that somewhere you are going wrong, somewhere you are becoming difficult. Be simple. So that feedback is necessary. Now, next principle of communication is active listening. Always remember, people have habit. They do not listen properly and they start speaking. They listen incomplete message and they understand anything. For example, the sender was saying about Eastern countries and he understood about Western countries. So active listening. You must listen with patience. Listening with patience will make communication better. Dear viewers, here the time has come to wind up this episode. Inshallahul Kareem, in next episode, soon we will meet and we will discuss on some other principles of becoming a better communicator, and Inshallahul Kareem, you will like them too. Till then, keep watching FGN channel. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam.
Speak a good word or remain silent. Speak a good word or remain silent. Speak a good word or remain silent.